Hello, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in. We shall start the webinar very shortly. Hi, attendees. The speaker shall be joining very shortly. We sincerely apologize for the delay. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. A very good evening. Very good evening, Dinesh.
Very good evening, Jaya. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Welcome, everyone, for today's webinar. Today's topic for webinar is the future of business intelligence, evolving trends. Imagine running a business without a map. Sure, you might stumble your way to success, but wouldn't it be smoother sailing with a clear guide? That's where business analytics comes in. It's like a superpowered map for your company, revealing hidden paths, highlighting shortcuts, and even predicting roadblocks before they appear. Numbers might seem dull, but in the hands of an analyst, they become a treasure trove of insights, showing you exactly what's working and what's not, and what your consumers are really looking for. In today's webinar, we will discuss the future of business intelligence and the various evolving trends. For this webinar, we have a guest speaker, Mr. Dinesh Chandnani, who is a manager, AI and data science at Deloitte India with a vast background in marketing analytics, insights generation, predictive analysis, building models, and statistical data modeling. Thank you, Mr. Dinesh, for taking out your precious time for this webinar today. We are very excited to hear from your vast experience in this field. I would now like to invite Mr. Dinesh to start the webinar. Over to you, Mr. Dinesh.
Yeah, thank you, Jaya, for a brief introduction. Can you give me a second? Just a second. I need to set my background.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry for being a little late. I had to go to a hospital because my daughter was not well. But I wasted a few precious minutes, but I'll make sure I make it up by giving as much as knowledge I can give. Before we start, I'll start with my quick introduction. With Jaya, adding to Jaya's point, I have a total of 10 years of experience that has been into advanced analytics and data science. Now, if I talk about data science, I have worked on market mix models, price promo. So these are predictive analytics techniques which we use to predict the outcomes and the return on investments. Apart from that, I've worked on forecasting. What could be the forecasting means? Let's say you would have seen a forecasting of World Bank or other banks that what will be the growth rate for India for next 5 years, 3 years. So these are the predictive analytic techniques that we use to predict the future. Apart from that, I am currently working with Deloitte as a manager. I am looking after the India business. Prior to that, I was working with Colgate, and before Colgate, I was working with Nielsen. So, all in all, 10 years of experience. And for today's session, we will be covering more on the what is the evolving trend on the business intelligence, what is business intelligence, why we use it, and we would be covering a one more case study that I have done it, right? So we can have a quick one request that I would have with the audience is that please be interactive. Whatever question that comes to your mind, feel free to ask. If it's a descriptive question, we can park it for the last. If it's in short answer, we can cover at that point of time. But I would request everyone to be vocal. At least if you are not understanding any of the point, if you have any doubts, feel free to ask. And let's be interactive and don't think as a host and the audience. Let's be as a friend where you would be studying with your friends and you would be asking questions to your friends, right? So let's have in this environment where everybody can ask questions and let's start. I'll share my screen and uh, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Uh, Missing some. Yes. No. Give me a sec.
Sure.
Yeah, here it is.
Yes. We can view your screen now.
Yeah, here it is. This is our session that we will be covering the future of business intelligence and evolving trends that what we have seen in the past 5, 10 years. Apart from that, yeah. So, what is business intelligence, right? This is a theoretical definition that we have is that it's a set of strategy and the practices for converting the data that we have into meaningful business insights that help business make informed decision. But in the reality, if you talk about, there would be a lot of data crunching that happens, right? So data would be stored into different formats, like one few finance data would be in the SAP portal, and let's say the advertisement data would be in the Excels, and there would be some into Google Drive. So there would be a lot of formats and a lot of different files that the different team maintains in a company. For example, let's take an example of Colgate, right? Or any other company that we have, FMCG company. So there would be finance team, there would be marketing team, there would be sales team, and other different teams that we have across the business functions, right? So all they would be maintaining their different data sets at their end. But coming to at one point where we see the data at one point, combining all these data sets and bringing out this meaningful insights and which are actionable, right? It's not about collecting data and giving a view, right? It's bringing out the meaningful insights which are actionable So that is business intelligence, like bringing out the different data sets to one place and bringing out the meaningful insights that we do. Any questions, guys, do you have on this? Okay, I'll take it as a no, and then I'll move forward. Then why data intelligence, right? Why we are using data intelligence? The first and the foremost is the data governance and security. As you know, data is the new oil in today's generation. Without data, we cannot success. Given the previous times, it was not that, but even now, even all the companies, if you talk about any product-based company or FMCG, oil industry, any industry you name it, they are using data for industry for a competitive edge. For this, this industry has been growing a lot. When I started my career, there were very few people that were working on in this, but now a lot of people have started working in this industry, and there is a lot of demand also. It's not about the stabilization curve has come up. Now a lot of demand is there because the company is maturing. People used to take more decision based on their gut feeling. Now people want to take decision based on the data, right? So in this purpose, this industry has been increasing. The first is the data governance and the security. It's that before taking any decision, decision should be reliable based on on the data that we are seeing, and there is a security of the data that we are protecting our data. So if we give it to the third party or the vendors, right? Sometimes they misuse the data or there would be some data leakage. So it's about securing your data, because data securing is very important, because a lot of margin data are there. How much margin is there on the product, right? So we cannot share every data with everyone, right? So protecting the data is very important. The second is visualization and data literacy. Like if I give you a data filled with the Excel, right, and I'll tell you to give insights, right? So you won't be able to give it. You need to prepare some charts like a bar graph. Like if you see a cricket match, there would be a 50 over match or 20 over match. You would see what is over and over what they have scored. You would see a bar graph. There would be a line chart. Or if you watch stock market, right? So if you see the prices of the stocks, you would see the how the prices have changed across 5 years. So you see visualizing, right? Or any you would have studied in your academics also, you would have seen bar graph or line chart or different charts, you name it, but it helps you to stand out your meaningful insights. If you look at the graph, you would see, yeah, I can see this pattern. Yeah, I can see this pattern, right? So it simplifies your view. So visualization is important. And then the third is artificial intelligence. This is the upcoming Gen AI, right? So you are current generation, you would know Chat GPT, right? If you type any questions, you would get the answer, right? Tell me joke, or give me the last 50 years unemployment rate. Give me what is CCI data, right? So they'll give you 20 years data, 50 years data, what we have. Now the company wants to have this kind of system where there is a dashboard prepared and they type it, what was my sales in the last month, and they get the what was the sales. Give me what is market share, what is my price in this week. So this would give with the command, it will give what is my this is the artificial, this is a Gen AI, this is very much upcoming, and it's very trending right now. You can search it, or you will get a lot of material, but this is very trending right now. And the fourth is real-time access to data. So this is if you have the dashboard ready, right? If you take an example of let's say a company, I want to see what is last 5 years profit. So if you gave a line bar graph, what was the profit, what was their sales, what was their net profit, what was their margin. So all in one, if you get 4 or 5 views in an screen, what else you would need, right? So this that is, and if you go for a board member meeting, of you if you go with the stakeholder meeting, If you have data handy, you can have a very exciting meeting with them, right? So that's why the way data intelligence is very important. Any questions, guys? You are following me, right?
Yes, we are.
No. Yeah, let's be little vocal. I think it's not like I feel like I'm talking any. I'll Then I'll move to the next part. This is an example, right? If you remember this game from your childhood days, this is a blocks game, right? There are scattered blocks that you have, then you move it into different colors. So this is, let's take an example. This is data, right? This is very assorted, different colors that we have. So I told you different files, n number of, so every month would have different files. Let's say if you want to prepare a summary of 3 years, and if you have 36 files, right? So it's very clumsy and a time-taking exercise. Then you need to sort them, and then you have to arrange them into different colors. Like, this is yellow, this is green. Like you have to arrange it and then present it visually. And then you have to explain it with a story. Like this is a home. So if you give a chart to anyone, let's say a chart of a stock market of a stock, let's say any MRF or any tire company, right? So if you see the chart, what would you see? So there should be a story to attach to it. So when the company got a let's say brand ambassador, its sales increases. If there is a seasonal effect, so it should be a story aligned to it. So it should be technical plus a story attached to it. So this is the way data get arranged. This is, I have kept a simple diagram here to tell you that there is data where there are a lot of data, but it has to be sorted. You have to be careful which files are very necessary and which are to be taken out of the analysis. Then it has to be arranged so that every month, let's say if your sales team tells you I need a report every month, what was my sales, what was my price, what was distribution, right? So you need to take all these necessary files. There would be n number of files into the system, but you need to take the necessary files that are important. It has to be sorted, it has to be in format, so that every month you need to append only one file and the dashboard gets updated. Let's say you don't need to update each file again and again, right? It has to be process oriented, and then the dashboard can be easily updated and can be presented to the sales team. So I'll come to the live example. This is a very live example, how we prepare this pipelines into the systems. These are the different sources. Let's say Facebook data we have Twitter data, we have SAP data, we have Shopify, Google Play, a lot of data we have, right? Then we need to ingest so that there is an automated system like Python we are using to make the pipelines, or we are using PySpark, right, to make the automated process. And this has to, in this step, all the cleaning of the data, there would be, let's say, 10 columns into Excel files. So Excel, there would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I column, let's say. But let's say if A, B, C, D, only these four columns are important. The rest of the columns are not important for you. So you would take only these four columns, right? Rest others you can ignore. So this kind of automation system or the pipelines that we prepare for an automated dashboard. Here the ingestion happens and the coding work happens here. And this is the data warehouse. So you would know in your mobile phones or in your laptops only 100 GB, or in your phone, let's say 50 GB or 20 GB, there is limited space, right? And if you fill it around 90% of your space, your system gets hanged, right? Your slowness in the system you can face. But to solve this kind of issues, and there is a lot of data, so we use Snowflake or BigQuery, sponsored by Google or Amazon Redshift or Databricks, where data can be stored on the clouds. So that you would have in mobile phone, you would know Google Drive, right? So all the data gets stored in the Google Drive so that your phone is free. And if phone is free, your system will work, right? Fine. So that's why the system, all the data, so there's tons of GBs, right? So system cannot handle tons of GB. So that's why all the data is stored on this cloud platforms, and all the queries are written here, so that data can be seen in the last layer, that is Power BI or Tableau or any other visualization tool that you ask for. So that data comes here, it goes here, cleans the data, it gets stored here, and then the final, I would say, look of the Power BI or the dashboard can come here. So all these steps has to be learned here, because it's not very easy, but it's not very tough also. It has to be learned, and then the Power BI comes in. And let's say if somebody wants to learn on the data science fund, let's say if he has to run a machine learning model like a forecasting or any linear regression in future. So this data can be directly used here in the data science and the machine learning, like using R, Python, Google AI for learning. So for running these simple machine learning models. Yeah. Moving forward, do you have any questions, guys, on this slide? Or do you feel it's very technical? I can convert it more layman then. I'll take it as a no then. Then moving forward, what are different type of business analytics? Like one could be, these are the four broader business analytics that I have listed down here. The first is the descriptive analytics. What is descriptive analytics? You would have learned in your stats. What is descriptive analytics? If anybody wants to give a try. Okay. I'll tell you what is descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics is just a representation of the historic data that you have. Like there's a one chat over here. Okay. Then what is descriptive analytics? So descriptive analytics is an historical representation. It's a representation of the historic data. Like told you, let's say what was the share price for last 5 years. So I can give you a line chart of the last 5 years, or the bar graph of the 5 years. What was the price of the share price, right? So it's just a representation of the historical data. So this is useful. Let's say it's a winter, and your product gets sold more in a winter. Let's say body lotion, it gets sold more in winters, very less into summer. So how to identify this kind of seasonality? We would need at least month on month or week on week level for, let's say, 1 or 2 years of data to understand what is the seasonality. Or let's say if it's a sweet product, confectionery product, so you can see there would be some spikes into the uh, festival seasons or year-end greetings, or when the school starts. So this kind of seasonality patterns can be identified using the historical data. Because let's say if you're working for a client and it's a very new to them, new if it's a very new to you, a new industry, right? So how would you identify the behavior of a product, right? So you would see the trend of the historical sales to understand how they have been moving. Like a soap category, you would see in the soap category, in summers the spike increases, and then in the winters it goes away. Same for the cold drinks also. So it increases in the summer and it goes away in the winter. So in order to identify the patterns in the sales, you need to have a historical representation of the data. And then comes the predictive analytics. Uh, Predictive analytics is more of a forecast, or forecasting your future. Let's say What example? Yeah. So let's say if you want to predict what will be the India's growth for next 5 years, what will be the GDP for next 5 years, or let's say what will be the, let's say if you are into manufacturing, and let's say if you are in manufacturing of a glass, what will be my sales for glass for next 2 years or 1 year? So this kind of forecasting exercise that can comes under this predictive analytics. And the third is the diagnostic analytics. What is diagnostic analytics is if I take about, let's say in 2023, my sales, let's say if I'm selling a glass and its sales has reduced by 20% all of a sudden, right? So you want to identify what could be the reasons my sales has declined by 20%. So there could be multiple factors. My price would have increased, my distribution would have decreased, my competition would be selling at the cheaper rate, or there could be uh, uh, macroeconomic slowdown. So there could be n number of causes that can uh, reduce my sales, right? So in order to detect which are the major reasons for decline in my sales, this analysis comes into diagnostic analytics. Like linear regression, multiple linear regression is used to understand diagnostic analytics, right? And the last is the prescriptive analytics. Prescriptive analytics is more often giving advice to your teams. Like let's say you are an analytics team and sales team want to understand what should be the my price for the next year. What should be the optimal price that I should be selling? Let's say I'm selling a glass at 20 rupees and I want to take a price rise. So I can ask my analytics team what should be the ideal price given you have all the data. Let's say you can sell it at 22, 23, 24, right? And there are some like price points like you would have seen chocolates selling at 5 rupees, 10 rupees. They don't change the price at all. If you've seen the historical, you would have seen from your kid day, from your toddler days till now, you would be having this Cadbury choc or any chocolate, name it, you would be having it at 5 rupees, 10 rupees, but they don't change the price because that's a psychological price that they are operating at. They cannot change it. Let's say if you're selling at 10 and they move it to 11, their sales would go like down like a crazy. You would have seen biscuits also selling at 5 rupees, 10 rupees. They don't make it 6 or 12, 11, because these are the psychological price points, but they do change the grammage, right? So these are the factors that comes into prescriptive analytics. What should be the ideal grammage or what should be the ideal pricing that they should go. Any questions, guys, you have on this slide? Okay, I'll take it as a no, then I'll move forward. Guys, you're feeling you're not getting bombarded with a lot of information or technical jargons, right? You are fine with the flow, or you want me to me or more layman? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. This is, I'll take an example here. It's in a real life example that came up with one of my client that I worked few years back. Uh, Actionable strategies, like what is my sales month on month level, right? If my sales team asks me what is my month on month sales, right? So there is a dashboard which gives you what is a line chart or a bar graph which gives you what is my month on month sales, what was my pricing versus my competition pricing. It's a very important, right? So let's say if I'm selling at 10 rupees, my competition is selling at 9 rupees, right? So I have to be very cautious here about my competition also. I know I am everything about myself, but I have to be cautious about competition. So these dashboards or this business intelligence help competition distribution. Let's say if I'm losing my market share, what is my market share is uh, let's say let's take an example of a category. There is a category, let's say cold soft drinks is in category. Let's say there is a one brand that is selling 50 bottles, and the total category is selling 100 bottles. So my share would be 50%. What is my share in the total category? That is a layman term I can explain you. If my share is reducing, my sales is reducing, why this is happening? Um, this is an I'll give you a background about this problem that I faced is my clients. I would say don't look at this solution. I put it here, but I would say not to look at this. I would say look at this. What was the problem? You would know my clients' biggest market of their product was UP. Any state, you can take it as a Gujarat or any Karnataka, any market you want to take it, right? As an hypothetical example, their sales was going down and down. There was key market, right? They wanted to understand what is going wrong in their strategy. They were selling at the same price their competition was, but they were losing out. And if you lose out on the key market, your sales automatically reduce at the national level. So you would India is a very wide country. The region specifics are there because there are few things that goes well in let's say north and west. So some things go well in the south and east. So it's a region specific. India is a very diverse country, right here. So their share was going down, and they were worried. Uh, so they wanted to understand why this is going on. They were pricing. So we used all their data sets that they had, like sales data, pricing, distribution, promotions. Like promotions, let's say if it's a soap category, you would have seen always you would see there is a bundled pack. Let's say pack of three, pack of two, and then pack of four, always on promo, right? This category, soap category is always on promo. You would have seen if you go a DMart or Reliance, you would see, or any other retail chain, you would see there's a multi-pack sale sold everywhere. What the We combined all the data sets using business intelligence. We built a Power BI, and then we got to know that one of their key competitor was selling a twin pack. There is two soaps attached to it, while while our client was selling a multi-pack of three, right? So we were giving our distribution was pack of three, whereas their competition was doing at pack of two. Because of pack of two, the pricing would reduce. Let's say if I sell a pack of three at the price of 28, but they were selling a twin pack, which was 19 rupees. So they would be catering a rural area or some urban as well as rural area, but they were price point was 19 and twin pack. So people got switched there. And you would know that India is a traditional market. You would see a lot of traditional kirana stores in apart from 70 to 80% is kirana stores in India. You would see in each in lane, in every roadside, you would see there is a kirana store. Whereas European markets has more of a modern trade. You would see big like team Carrefour or different Walmart, these kind of segments caters to in European market, but India is a very different market where Kirana stores holds a very high place in India. So they were selling a twin pack, whereas the competition was selling a twin pack, whereas our client was selling a pack of three. So then gradually our client came with the same strategy of twin pack, and they were able to recapture their lost sale in next 4 6 months, because it takes some time to reach the uh, stores, and then there has to be a media support like TV advertisement, digital media, so that consumer knows there is a twin pack available. So they were able to recapture it, but this is how the problem got solved, that why their sale was reducing. Any questions, guys, you have? Okay, I'll move forward then. Uh, these are the examples. Okay. Thank you. So when I started my career, I was working with the sales team. So I didn't. There were not many other teams that were using analytics. They were on the verge of starting, but given with my viewpoint, I've seen these teams at least in a company using the business intelligence, like the data scientists and analysts like this is very important for them because they need to see the historical trend, they need to understand the product. Like I said, there is a seasonality, there would be like different kind of phenomena happen, right? There is a COVID, COVID happened for, let's say, 3 months. People started to, let's say, in the month of March you would see a lot of peaks, whereas after that there would be dips. A peak would be because of the pantry loading happened, right? Everybody wanted to fill their house with the FMCG things, right? Let's say there would be a lockdown, right? So you would buy 10 packs of biscuits or any other thing. So there's a pantry loading happened, right? Then there was a dip because there was a lockdown, so people were not able to go out. So there was a dips into the sales. Or under other kind of phenomena, like there was a demonetization happened few years back, or so sales got changed, sales got dipped during this month. Or it could be because of the heavy rains, floods, the sales would have reduced. So we need to understand the hypothesis about the brand. For that purposes, this is very important for business and intelligence tools that data scientists and analysts use. Finance team, like finance team is very important, like it gives finance to every team, so they need to have what is the sales that has happening, what is the marketing expenses that they are incurring, so that for the next year they can give the budgets. Like there are set of budgets for let's say advertisement, let's say 10 crores, for digital 5 crores, right? So this decision takes time, right? So this has to be taken from the finance team, but for finance team they need to have some KPIs, some things, so that they can understand. The third is marketing team. Marketing team, they run annual campaigns on TV. I think TV was uh, 90% of the spends. When I started my career, 90% of the TV, or 95% spends were done on the TV advertisements. Now, with the evaluation of the digital media, it has reduced, and the spending on the digital platforms has increased, right? So for marketing team also, they need to have some plans, some KPIs, right? They cannot go blindly behind, let's say, Facebook or or YouTube. They spend everything on Facebook or YouTube. There has to be some balance, right? There has to be some tracking that people are watching it, my ad or not. There has been some impressions. There has been clicks. If it is not working, then I'll move to some other platform or on the television. So this has to be done, some tracking has to be done, right? What is the return on investment that we are getting? So marketing team tracks all these things. So for this tracking, they need a business intelligence or a dashboard which can give them a view, which will help them in taking the decision. uh, Sales team, I told you, sales team would need for discount analysis, how much they discount they can give, 5%, 7%, 10%, so they can analyze which discount worked for them, how the profitability is there, which are the pricing that is working for them, which are the SKU. I mean, there would be 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees. These are different SKUs, different pricing that they are selling, which is the best performing for them, which is the best region that is performing, east, west, north, south, and then which state is performing, which channel, traditional trade, modern trade. There are a lot of cuts that you can see for taking the decision. So sales team uses this business intelligence, and then operations team. there has to be a supply chain, right? Like if the products are getting manufactured, let's say in Gujarat, but it has to be transported to different regions. So how this can be optimized? So if we go for a longer routes, it will take time to reach to the end customers, or I would say to the retailers, and then the sales would get impacted, right? So it, and let's say raw material comes from different places. So the different place to the building to the plant, and then it goes out to the retailers. So it takes some time, right? So how to be optimal on the supply chain, that's where I have seen in the latest 3 4 years a lot of teams have been formed for the supply chain analytics, packaging analytics. How can be very nice packaging, how can be optimal packaging, so that we are not wasting on the cardboards and all these things. So there's a lot of evolution that is happening across this segment also in the operations. So these are the few sectors that I have listed out. There are n number of industries. There would be finance industries like fraud analytics, then error detection, then which are the valuable customers, which can be targeted for loans. You would have seen loans, and then credit scores. How can, let's say there is a CIBIL that predicts your CIBIL, your score, and a lot of financial analytics is also happening. You would see a lot of new Paytm. There are a lot of new players into the market, like wallet money with the wallet. So how they are targeting the consumers. So a lot of evolution and a lot of sectors this is using. I've listed down only one, I would say, company functions, these company functions, but it is prevailing across the industries. Uh, I'll Hello. Okay. I'll pause for a question and answer here. Feel free to ask any questions that you have here. If you want to clarify any doubts, or what you want to, anything you want to ask, feel free to ask here. But given my experience and in 10 years, I would say it has been evolving. From what I started, there was a lot of manual coding that I used to do on SPSS, and then I moved on SAS. But the trend is changing, and then everyone has to be updated. Like you would have heard about R, Python. These are can be data can be changed. Uh, you guys are with me, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
So
much, Mr. Dinesh. This was a really insightful session. I'm sure all the attendees had a lot of valuable takeaways. For all working professionals as well as freshers who are keen on learning more about business analytics, Chandigarh University has launched online BBA and MBA degree programs with business analytics specializations in collaboration with KPMG in India. You all can find the brochures for both the degree programs in the chat box. And also, we have reached the final part of our webinar, and we would be opening it for Q&A for our speakers.
yeah.
All of you can post your questions on the chat box for Mr. Dinesh to answer.
Yeah. And you can definitely see the brochure that ma'am has sent. You can see a lot of technologies you would be learning, because there is an evolving trend that is happening, and you can that has to be learned, right? There is a Tableau, there is a Power BI. other DBI tools, but basic has to be cleared so that you can you. It's matter of tool, but the basics has to be some issue with my Zoom meeting. Any questions you have, guys?
A couple of questions have been asked on the chat box.
Yeah, I think I got dropped and it is not visible right now in my
All
screen.
right, I can read out the question for you. So the first question has been asked by a student. If a student is weak in mathematics, can he or she flourish in business analytics or business intelligence?
Yes, yes, definitely. It's not about only about mathematics. It's about there are some different parts. I would say one has to be if it's in the data science. I would say yes, mathematics and stats would be needed. But let's say if you are into business analytics, Power BI, story building, it don't has to be necessary. A mathematics genius has to be here. A Power BI developer or a data engineer. These are the very fields that can be leveraged here. And yes, this business intelligence can be pursued by them.
All right. Thank you for taking up the question. The second question from our student is: what are the potential pitfalls and challenges of relying heavily on business intelligence for decision making? How can organizations mitigate these risks and ensure responsible data use?
Uh, yeah. Um, there are some risks that let's say if you have seen some trends into the data or you have made up some story from the beginning, right? So it could be that you would be evolving during the hypothesis that you have built. So let's say if I'm a data scientist and I have built a story that I want to showcase this story out of the analysis that I have. So I could be using the one side of the picture and I'll be presenting to this. So this could be a risk that I am framing one side of the story. But let's say there are n number of data sets that we have. So let's say if we look at the larger picture, like different segment, different data sets, it could be avoided.
All right. The third question from the attendees is: how will business intelligence evolve to handle the exponential growth and complexity of data?
Yeah, so for this there are a lot of complexity into the data. So there has been the tools that has been helping us. If you look at the Python or R language, they help us to manage the data, clean the data, and then represent it into the dashboards. So there are a lot of libraries in the Python or R where you can where you can change the data, you can process the data, and you can use it. So there are a lot of tools that are coming into the market that are helping us to do a visualization and business intelligence. So yes, so leveraging the technology that we are having right now is helping us to business intelligence.
All right. Thank you so much. And one last question from one of our students is that how can organizations create a data-driven culture where everyone from executives to frontline employees can leverage business intelligence insights to improve their work and basically move up the ladder?
Definitely, I would say it's some that's the target that every company is doing. You would see a lot of FMCG companies hiring a lot of data scientists, data analysts, data engineers. They want to build a ecosystem where every department has their analytics, HR analytics, then marketing analytics, sales analytics, supply chain analytics. but it will take time because at this I'd say it's not on the maturity stage in India at least. People are knowing data, they are understanding, and they want to move toward this direction. They want to they want to have data driven decision. It will take time, but yeah, companies have started moving. They would see in-house analytics teams, a lot of thousands of people are working for them, so that the ecosystem that you were mentioned in the question, that ecosystem can be leveraged, and then every decision can be taken backed by the data.
All right. All right. So that is it for the from the students' side. So thank you so much, Mr. Dinesh. It was a very insightful session, and I'm sure that all the attendees had a lot of valuable takeaways. So that's all for tonight. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a lovely audience. I would say a lot of insightful questions that you asked. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. You can ask Jaya ma'am, and she can forward it to me. And very all the best for your futures.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Mm.